A press hearing unlike any before. Dozens of UFO whistleblowers came forward, risking careers and reputations to speak on record. Pilots, engineers, military personnel, and physicists described craft operating on principles the public barely understands. Technology claimed to have been studied in secret by the highest levels of government. The potential of this technology, from its source of energy to its ability to manipulate space and time, suggests it could revolutionize energy, enable peaceful technological breakthroughs, and even address global challenges like climate change.
Technologies connected to UFO and extraterrestrial vehicles, if declassified and used for peaceful energy generation and propulsion, would solve the looming energy crisis definitively, would end global warming, would correct the environmental challenges that the Earth is facing.
Secrecy has left critical vulnerabilities. Missile systems disrupted, national security protocols exposed, and oversight failing for decades. Over 100 witnesses and official documentation reveal a pattern of suppression spanning decades. The press tried to force Congress to listen. Now, the information is resurfacing, and the world is waking up. The truth can no longer be ignored. Once the microphones were on, the silence they had broken revealed the scale of what had been hidden.
It has the most profound implications for the human future, for the U.S. national security, and for world peace.
The implications were clear. Humanity had been operating in a world where alleged hidden technologies could alter the balance of power and the very safety of life on Earth. Yet the knowledge was siloed, classified, or dismissed. The purpose was simple: force attention, compel accountability, and demand transparency. They weren't asking for theories or public debates. They were asking for action, and risking their lives while doing so.
I hope that the testimony here from very credible people will convince you of that and will further Steve Greer's disclosure project, in that pressure needs to be brought to bring this to the attention not only of the Americans, but of people all over the planet. These vehicles have been seen and confirmed all over the planet. I am willing to sign a sworn statement or testify to my judgment and to what I have observed.
Each witness carried authority. Each testimony layered context and corroboration, building a framework that spanned decades, disciplines, and missions. This wasn't anecdotal evidence. This was a pattern, a web of first-hand experiences that collectively made ignoring the phenomenon impossible, if the world was willing to listen. The room hums with unease. Radars flicker, instruments spike, but no one can explain why. A missile's launch sequence halts mid-count. According to corroborating testimony from credible whistleblowers, these visitors are not aggressors. They are watchers. Every silo, every launch, every test is monitored. Perhaps the message is preventative, an effort to ensure humanity does not annihilate itself before understanding what else exists in the cosmos.
Years later, I worked at the Naval Electronic Engineering Center in San Diego for 13 years. The co-worker who I worked with worked at the NORAD facility. When he first started working at the facility, he noticed objects going on the screens that track everything out in space and in the air, objects going off the scale, doing right-angle turns. When he inquired, his older supervisor advised him that, quote, it was just a visit from one of our little friends.
The two F-4s from the Iranian Air Force had taken off and tried to intercept the UFO, and when they turned on their fire control systems, they immediately went on. All the electrical systems went out. The planes had to return to base.
Phone calls. As I was telling him about the phone calls, my weapons started going down. one after the other. They went into a no-go condition, what we call a no-go condition. They were unlaunchable. We lost somewhere between 6 and 8 weapons that morning within minutes of having received that second phone call of a UFO hovering outside the front gate.
A jet swerves to avoid a shape that shouldn't exist. Multiple near collisions over Mexico City Airport are confirmed by radar and pilots. Across continents and decades, similar moments unfold. Fragments of a world quietly disrupted.
Then, July 28, 1994, we have almost a collision or something that we can name in that way with an international flight, domestic flight of Aeromexico 129, commanded by the pilot Raimundo Cervantes Ruano, that has a trash or something about in his main landing gear in the right leg.
Decades ago, Nikola Tesla theorized similar phenomena, forces and energies beyond conventional understanding. But his ideas were dismissed as UFO-inspired fantasy. It wasn't until the early 2000s, coincidentally around the time of this press conference, that these fantasies began being recognized as real, observable phenomena in quantum physics.
A copy of an interoffice memo from Hercules Aerospace that describes a particular type of science involving something called zero-point energy and scalar waves. According to Brad Sorensen, this is the basis of the technology for these anti-gravity propulsion systems. This particular document here describes 6 different meetings involving the Defense Intelligence Agency and cooperative efforts with the Russian scientific community in investigating this, what is called the fundamental enabling technology that was originally discovered apparently by Nikola Tesla in the early 1900s.
The implications are stark. Governments and corporations are allegedly hiding not only UFO technology, but also, as the U.S. National Science Advisor recently said,
stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Humanity already has the physics. The technologies exist. Yet, fossil fuels and nuclear power still dominate. Zero-point energy and UFO-derived tech, capable of powering cities, ending energy scarcity, and easing climate pressures, remain hidden. Progress hasn't stalled from limits of science, but from deliberate choice. In September 2025, a U.S. congressional hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena featured military veterans recounting their UFO encounters, testimonies that mirror the same concerns raised 24 years ago, echoing calls for transparency and action that remain unanswered. The question isn't whether this technology exists, it's whether humanity will claim it before it's too late.